Good evening and welcome to the news for the 15th of March 2021. On our headlines tonight, considering the laxity in COVID-19 respect or fight in the littoral region and amongst Cameroonians as a whole, regional authorities have on this day relaunched sensitization activities on the importance of respecting these life-saving measures. And this March 15 marks World Consumer Rights Day, which is observed all over the world, including Cameroon. On this occasion, consumer rights organizations have organized commemorative activities in the town of Douala. Discover these stories and more in tonight's newscast. Don't go away. Welcome back, dear televiewers. You are watching the 7 p.m. newscast in the English language here on DBS television. Thanks for keeping the rendezvous. I am Cynthia Nguemo. Regional authorities in the littoral region have launched a campaign to resensitize the population on the importance of the respect of COVID-19 barrier measures, which are observed to be less respected these days. This was through a meeting organized today at the Littoral Regional Governor's Office, as Mange Venasius tells us in the following report.
In order to face the deadly coronavirus squarely in the eye and halt its progress, regional authorities in the littoral region met at the Governor's Office Monday, March 15, 2021, to strategize on how to carry out sensitization process of the population. As per the instructions of the government through the Prime Minister, the only way to curb the spread of the virus is for the citizens to meticulously observe barrier measures. A virus that has not spared the littoral region, and so regional authorities deemed it necessary to remobilize the population from the regional level to the divisional and the subdivisional levels, given the impact of the pandemic so far in the region.
We have many people that are dying, but we want population to be aware of it, because many of them are not agree that people are dying from the coronavirus. And this time we are going to ask all our senior general officers, the NGOs, even the civil society, to make an effort to make people to wear those masks and also to respect these governmental barriers. So we want to tell that we are not going one more time to sleep. We have to fight against this coronavirus and to make everybody be aware of these governmental dispositions.
It is a fight that will spare no sector of the society and should be the concern of everyone. Reason why both religious as well as traditional authorities and the civil society have been called to remobilize the entire region, as statistics say we have gone past the peak even of last year.
We register more cases than even when the pandemic was very hot last year, and apart the number of new cases that we register, we can also talk about the death that is increasing. We are registering at least from 6 to 10 per week. Within a few weeks ago, we had less than 2 deaths per week. I think talking about taking into account all these two data, we can say the situation is growing up and we need to do something.
In this case, the fight against this second wave of the pandemic needs a complete overhaul of our mentality and behavior if we are to succeed.
Kidnapped CRTV journalist Fem Banyi Ayise has been released after spending a night in captivity. She was reportedly abducted by armed men on Saturday close to her home in Munya in Boya while she returned from work on Saturday. In a video published on social media, Fem Banyi is seen seated on the bare ground in an unidentified place, begging her family to send money for her 10 million francs CFA ransom requested by her kidnappers to ensure her release. This as instructed by her abductors, who are allegedly separatist fighters. The armed men go ahead to show wounds on her back from torture she received. According to information from Cameroon's Journalist Trade Union Southwest chapter, the journalist was set free at around midnight, breaking this Monday, March 15, adding that circumstances leading to her release are not known. However, it is said that her family pleaded and paid 5 out of the 10 million francs CFA demanded by her kidnappers. Fem Banyi her abduction was brought about widespread condemnation and calls for her release all over the social media. And now over in Yaoundé, the Women's Parliamentary Network at the Cameroon's National Assembly have honored senior pioneer female deputies or MPs in the town of Yaoundé, those who are still alive, this by giving them special prizes. The encounter with veterans in this milieu took place at Hôtel des Députés in the town of Yaoundé, and it was an opportunity for these women to exchange their experiences in leadership. Details with Ate Bonaventure.
Les premières à occuper les postes que nous occupons aujourd'hui.
Honor to whom honor is due. The network of female parliamentarians have thought it wise to celebrate the 4 pioneer female members of the National Assembly who paved the way for more female representation in Cameroon's parliament.
I want to congratulate and commend the magnanimity of these women because they stood out tall and proud and they paved the way for more women to come to parliament. To have had the first woman who was in parliament here today gives us that, that pride, and we feel excited and elated to have them with us here.
The encounter was an occasion to tap inspiration from the pioneers who took turns to share their experiences.
Je me suis trouvé d'abord au Bureau national de la défense au CNC.
Present among the women were the Ministers of Women's Empowerment and Social Affairs, who have urged the parliamentary network to engage more advocacy initiatives for the respect of women's and children's rights.
It's a challenge to us to bring in more women, and I think that with the things we are doing in the field, with the efforts the women are, trying to, the things they are trying to carry out in the field, especially in micro projects, in empowering other women, more women will be encouraged to come in. And I think our President Paul Biya, when he sits out there, the President of the National Assembly, when they sit out there and see what the women do, they will be honored and they will be proud to ensure that many more women come here.
The ceremony ended with the award of gifts to the veteran MPs in appreciation for the service they have rendered to the nation.
Cameroon and the international community have today observed World Consumer Rights Day, a day which seeks to raise awareness about the rights and duties of consumers as well as their needs all over the world. With regards to this year's theme, Tackle Plastic Pollution, the Cameroon National Chamber of Consumers observed the day beginning with a plastic waste cleanup campaign in Douala. Next was a sports walk that pulled together Cameroonians of all age groups, a sensitization exercise on the importance of keeping fit, especially in this COVID-19 era where people consume more and make less physical efforts. The commemoration ended at Salle des Fêtes d'Aqua, where details were given on the treatment and recycling of the plastic waste gathered on this day and others. Here is Gilles Lanke, who is the Secretary General of the National Chamber of Consumers consumers. He spoke to Selane Thierry for DPS Television.
Our chamber have to celebrate according to the whole world. So this day, today, we have to, the major theme of this day is to fight against pollution, waste also. So this day, we have mobilized her to try to contribute in this way. You know, our country is a very large, very big country, and as a chamber, small action, when you get a small action, you can have some impact. So we are trying to mobilize all these partners. As you say, you have Namer Recycling, plastic productor. So together we are trying to clean first, secondly to collect at the end, treat it. So we will fight against waste and we will fight against that kind of pollution. Actually, we have 10 people on the set by seat. Douala 1, Rond-Point 4e, Douala 2, Mary Douala 2, we have also 30% actually. We are waiting, we are beginning to collect. Douala 3, also 10 volunteers there. Actually, they are based in Pont Combi, the Douala 5, Bonamoussadi, Carrefour, des immeubles. We also have 25 volunteers actually. We are becoming to collect.
Now let's go to the Ocean Division to discover the Bipindi subdivision and its population, amongst whom are the Bagili Pygmies, who joyfully received the SDO, that is Senior Divisional Officer of the Ocean Division, Nuhu Bello. The SDO, on his contact-taking tour, visited this locality with diverse natural and cultural riches. Agriculture, and notably the growth and exploitation of palm nuts, is one of the main strengths of Bipindi, which however is limited by a lack of adequate access to water and electricity, as the representatives of the over 15,000 inhabitants reported to the SDO. Now let's listen to the SDO Nuhu Bello, who calls on the population of Bipindi to engage in more agriculture. Listen.
Yes, we remark that this subdivision has a lot of potentialities. We can say that there are a lot of lands where population can do a lot of crops. We ask the population to take advantage of this road. Now, road going to Kribi is almost finished. And we ask population to do agriculture, to do pastoral activities, because there is possibility to evacuate.
Still in this subdivision, a particular touristic site that retains the attention of the SDO is the Bijuka waterfall, which is of course situated in this locality. He visited it alongside his collaborators. In the following excerpt, he gives them appreciation for their efforts in maintaining and preserving this natural place. Let's listen.
Yes, we discovered this wonderful tourist site. We want to congratulate the mayor and elites who have done a lot to do a lot of works to permit to access here. We are a wonderful site. We ask population, local population, to be around visitors, to take some important part in the maintaining property here, maintaining cleanliness, because you know that to have a visitor, you should be clear. That is, I want to congratulate everybody here.
Now, in the obituary page, the late president of the Cameroon Bar Council, Barrister Charles Chakunte Pattier, has been laid to rest in his native village, Bahok, in the Division West region of Cameroon. His funeral ceremony took place this Saturday, March 13, in the presence of state, judiciary and traditional authorities who came to bid final farewell to the deceased. Family, friends and acquaintances gathered in their numbers in the highly emotional funeral, which at a point witnessed a tense atmosphere from tensions within Mr. Chakunte's family. The deceased Bar Council president was given a post-mortem decoration prior to his burial, which marked the end of the ceremony. Now let's listen to his son, followed by Celestine Kechaku-Tess, who was present as an elite. They shared the warm memories they keep of the late Barrister Chakunte.
I still remember that conversation that we had, him and I in the car, when he asked me, Cyril, qu'est-ce que tu veux être plus tard? And he was so sad when I told him I did not want to be a lawyer. But then we talked about it. We talked about it for 2-3 days. And he was very understanding, very listening. We talked about it again and again. And it took me 3 days to make him understand that I do not hate the law. I don't hate lawyers. But I wanted to do something in which I was as passionate as he was in being a lawyer. To all the lawyers here, thank you so much. Thank you so, so much. Because you guys shared the life of my father. You guys know how much he loved being a father, how much he loved being a lawyer as well. He dedicated his entire life to being the best lawyer that he could be.
Chakunte Pattier, he was a great man. He loved his country. He loved his division. He loves his village because he came here and built a house. And he was a peaceful man. He was to the GDN, the National Great Dialogue. And he was a peaceful man and loved the country. And what I want to say on behalf of all the elite is that we are very pleased, we are very happy on the attention of the head of state.
May his soul rest in peace. Now let's move on to news out of Cameroon, beginning in Chad, where President Idriss Déby has launched his presidential campaign as he seeks a 6th term in next April's presidential election. This comes as 3 of his contenders dropped out of the race. And in Central African Republic, this Sunday they held the 2nd round of legislative elections, which was marked by violence or a tense atmosphere provoked by rebel attacks. Let's get more of these African stories with Rogeyatu Buba in the Africa Roundup page.
Chadian President Idriss Déby Itno has kicked off campaign for a 6th term, calling for unity after rival protests were banned since the start of the official election period on Thursday. He who has ruled for 30 years is widely deemed for another term. 3 opposition candidates quit the race ahead of the April 11 ballot, thus making half a dozen candidates. Another authorized candidate, Saleh Kebzabo, withdrew on Thursday after police and troops attacked the home of another opposition figure, Yaya Dilo Jeru. Voters in Central African Republic went to the polls for a 2nd round of legislative election on Sunday, surrounded by an atmosphere of violence following a surge in fighting and attacks since presidential elections in December. The runoff votes were held in 49 constituencies, and another 69 areas held the 1st round of voting. In December's election, President Faustin Archange Touadéra won re-election, but rebels, who the United Nations say are backed by the former president Francois Bozizé, sought to take control amid allegations of voting irregularities.
That brings us to the end of today's edition of the news in the English language on DBS television. I am Cynthia Ngwemo, thanking you for watching and inviting you to stay with us until we meet tomorrow same time for a fresh edition. For now, good night.